A good heart is not the problem. Respect is not the problem. Fairness is not the problem. The real problem starts when being liked becomes more important than making sure the exchange is fair. That is where good people lose money. That's where talented people lose ownership. That is where loyal people give too much and receive too little. Most people do not get played because they are stupid. They get played because the room felt friendly. The conversation sounded respectful. The opportunity looked real. The compliment felt like value. The relationship felt stronger than the terms. That's when the work starts. Ideas get shared, calls get made, doors get opened, problems get solved. Strategy gets handed over, energy gets spent, relationships get used, but the business never ever gets defined. That is how nice guys finish broke. Not because kindness is weakness. Kindness becomes expensive when it has no boundaries. Years ago, I was negotiating with Kevin Childs, the man behind Don Diva. We were talking business, and he gave me a line that stayed with me for the rest of my career. He said, "In a fair exchange, there's no robbery." I stopped him right there. I said, "Can I take that?" He said, "Yes." I have been using it ever since, because that line explains business better than most books. In a fair exchange, there is no robbery. That means the value is understood. The terms are understood. The roles are understood. The money is understood. The risk is understood. Everything is just understood. Everybody knows what is being given and what is being received. That is how you don't get played. That is fair business. The problem comes when the exchange is uneven. Loyalty gets traded for promises. Ideas get traded for compliments. Access gets traded for attention. Works get traded for that famous, "We got you later." Relationships get traded for future talk. And sacrifices get traded for silence. That's not a deal. That is confusion with a smile on it. And confusion is where robbery hides. A lot of young, ambitious people make the same mistake. The goal becomes proving that they're solid, that they are loyal, that they're not difficult. Proving they belong in the room when they're already in the room. So the value comes out too early. The best ideas come out too early. The effort shows up before the fee. The strategy will get shared before the position. The work will begin before the upside is real. By the time the money conversation happens, the other side already has the benefit. That is the trap. Once value is delivered without structure, people start treating that value like it was free. Not always out of evil. Business people take what is available. If I give you a contract and you don't take it to a lawyer, it's not my fault if you sign it. If the money question never comes up, silence becomes the discount. If ownership never comes up, the idea becomes available. If the role never gets defined, the contribution becomes invisible. That is why nice guys finish broke. Not because they are too good, because the exchange was never made fair. This is not a lesson about becoming a bad person. This is a lesson about being or becoming protected. Protection does not have to be loud. Protection does not have to be rude. Protection does not have to kill the relationship. Protection can be one calm sentence. I respect the opportunity. Let's define the business before we go any further. That sentence changes everything. It tells the room that respect is present, but confusion will not be acceptable. It tells the room that the opportunity is appreciated, but my value is not free. It tells the room that being easy to work with does not mean being easy to use. That is grown business. The person chasing approval usually leaves the room with the worst deal. Approval feels good in the moment. Clear terms feel better later. A compliment can make ego feel paid. A contract protects the value. Access makes someone feel important. Don't get lost in that trap. Ownership makes work matter. Attention is not compensation. Being needed is not the same thing as being valued. Sitting close to a powerful person is not the same as having power. That is one of the biggest lessons in business. The room is not the win. The relationship is not the win. The compliment is not the win. The promise is not the win. The win is the exchange. What goes out? What comes back? Who owns what? Who gets paid? Who carries the risk? Who controls the decision? What happens if this thing works? That is where the truth lives. Fair exchange? No robbery. If the exchange is fair, real business do not get offended. Business people, they won't get upset. Serious people really respect clarity. Professionals respect terms. Only someone benefiting from the confusion gets uncomfortable when the business becomes clear. That is why clear terms expose fake opportunities. A real opportunity can survive a business opportunity. A fake opportunity needs excitement, pressure, guilt, flattery, blurry promises. That's whack. Good people do not need to become sharks, but good people do need sharper instincts. Kindness without protection becomes a liability. Loyalty without terms becomes free label. Trust without clarity is a setup. Opportunity without exchange becomes a story about shoulda, coulda, woulda. So keep a good heart. Keep the respect. Keep the professionalism. Keep the fairness. But stop entering into uneven exchange and calling them opportunities, because in a fair exchange, there is no robbery. And when the exchange is not fair, somebody's going to pay the price, and that person is usually you. Subscribe to Street Smart Business if you want business lessons before the mistakes cost you.